you? We haven't seen each other for a minute.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute, as the kids say. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Roxanne, for coming to join us on this podcast today. And the purpose of this podcast is to show people who have resolved a chaotic alcohol or drug problem, and they didn't just get well, they got better than well. They're having fun, they're creating, they're helping other people to come get them some. And I think these are stories that need to be told.
I am thrilled to be here, and I have indeed taken, it's funny, would you call that a chaotic alcoholic life and turn it into purpose and passion. And I've been able to do just that. So let's get into it.
Awesome. So you identify as a person in recovery.
I am a person in long-term recovery. In fact, October 8th, I celebrated 24 years clean and sober.
That is what's up. Wow. I just celebrated 17 years on October 12th. We're birthday brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Right on. Okay. So let's talk about recovery for just a second. Not everybody agrees on what that is. So to you, what is recovery?
My journey, my personal journey here has been all about self-forgiveness. And about purpose and passion. I believe that I've been able to not just maintain sobriety, but to really be emotionally sober and passionate, because I have really discovered what all that is for me.
Right on. So purpose, passion, emotional maturity, emotional sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Those sound like wonderful definitions for recovery. So are you happy?
I have a personal mantra, and my mantra is I never want to be an if Ida. And by that, I mean, I never want to look back and say, if I'd only done this, if I'd only done that. Because for me, my drinking was all about limitation. You know, it kept me from doing everything. It kept me from getting off a bar stool long enough to quit lying about all the things I was going to do and get out and do it. You know, all I did was talk about it. And so I no longer live my life as an if Ida. I would rather try and fail than not try at all, and just leave what could be my new favorite thing on the table.
How did we met? Let me see. I'm wearing my Generation Found t-shirt today. Yeah, the documentary film by Greg Williams and about recovery high schools. And I think we were involved in helping to support the success of the Carolina's first recovery high school, Emerald School of Excellence in Charlotte. And you live in North Carolina, right?
I live in Charlotte, home of Emerald School of Excellence, whose gala is coming up on February 11th. Yeah, I'm on the committee again this year, so I'm super excited to support them. What a concept, right? Kids in recovery, having a safe place to get an education, getting to have an education with like-minded peers, no peer pressure. I don't know. It's a concept that I support. I took, one time I had the pleasure of, I do improv exercises. I did it with clients in treatment centers because it reduces anxiety and depression. More importantly, I wanted to show people that they could participate in support groups and not have that anxiety that they had nothing to say or they couldn't talk. But I took that same thing to Emerald School of Excellence to show the kids that they could also be playful and fun. And I think they have an art director now, and that school's really come a long way. I'm real proud of that.
Oh, it sure has. I'm super proud of it too. And I'm glad that you're involved. I was a board member for a while, and resigned to work in rural communities. But I love going to the galas and supporting them. And this episode will come out well in advance of the gala, and so we ought to use it to promote support for that initiative in Charlotte, North Carolina. You mentioned improv class. Tell me. Obviously, you've leveraged some part of yourself. You're funny as AF, but you've leveraged this into your recovery pathway, into helping people find that freedom and wellness. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
So honestly, humor was born for me because I had this incredibly painful story. And I think if I ever had to tell my story the way it felt, I probably would have committed suicide.
Yeah.
So I think for me, humor was born not out of deflection, because I was always very public in a recovery environment about my story. I think it was more about minimizing it so I could absolutely withstand the pain of my story. And what I found was, I learned it actually in a treatment center. I was a group therapist at the time in a treatment center, and it was just one of those days when the population just had a crap attitude, and I couldn't stand it. And I was just like, everybody out of your chair now. Just, I knew if I could get them up and moving, and I just started doing improv exercises. And what I found was that people can heal through humor. Mm. And of course, a byproduct of that was that I got to heal. And I've always used humor. I became, at 14 years clean and sober, I became a professional stand-up comedian. And because I'm incredibly passionate about life. And I remember when I started it, I was like, well, I have failed at less, that's for sure. And I got on that stage and I heard a lot of crickets for a really long time. I always thought it was interesting that I would try something where failure was mandatory. I always thought that was interesting. So anyway, started with I've been a professional stand-up comic since I think 2010. In fact, I am on a recovery comedy tour right now called Addicted to Comedy. And I'll be appearing at the Comedy Zone October 26th with the headliner, Andy Gold. So I'm excited about that. It's just a way for me to heal, be playful and joyful, and then still do the kind of work that I do, which is working in the recovery industry.
So tell us more about some of the services that you've integrated into your life now, bringing all your passions and purpose together.
So I am a recovery coach. I work with the person of concern. I work a lot with families, the families of the IP. I feel like I do all the ancillary services. I'm a certified interventionist. I do interventions, case management, transportation. I just took something that was incredible. It's not work. You know, they say if you do what you love, that it's not work.
I know.
And helping people isn't work. And I find that this business, which can be incredibly painful.
Yes.
Sometimes people are more able to get vulnerable and face the challenges that are in front of them if you can do it in a way that is lighthearted. Mm-hmm. Because this is a sad business. I'm not going to lie. It's a sad business.
It truly is. Yeah. And that's been the tone that I've taken in all the work that I've done, whether it be direct practice or community education or leading an organization or technical assistance, I'm always asked, who's that laid back dude? Is he really? Oh, okay, cool. And it works out. And I think folks, it does bring down defenses, you know, and it makes it a more pleasant experience. And this is tough business, you know, that we're involved in. And I'm too old to change at this point. You know, I tried to act all serious and the way other folks wanted me to act, but in the end, someone said, "You do you," and I'm like, "I'll do me, for sure."
Yeah, it's interesting you would say that, because I've had the same experience working in this field. I feel like there was this expectation of what I was supposed to look like or sound like or act like. And they really, for my experience, was that people were much more able to connect on a deeper level when I just came out with authenticity.
Yes.
And so like you, that's my magic superpower, honestly, is authenticity. But I just, you know, in my addiction, I was just such a big fat phony. I had created this persona for the world to see. And I don't even know where I got that message, but somehow, somewhere I got this message that this is what the world expected of me. This is what you wanted to see. And I remember that it felt very false and disingenuous to me. And I would wake up and I would go adult every day. I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sense of relief. I through my internal work, I've discovered that this mask I wore, this performance that I put on, was born out of some fear that you would indeed not like who I am, because I really didn't like myself. And as I grew to like myself a bit more and act like myself more, I had to assess the evidence around me. You know, am I putting people off, or are people staying around? And they were staying around, and it's just a great relief. And I would encourage people in recovery to hang in there, find out who you are, you be you, and you know, you learn to like yourself, and folks will like you. Some won't.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. And humor, I guess, is or the ability to detect authenticity in others is a universal human need. You know, we need to have trust with folks, and I think we need levity. So I'm glad that you've harnessed that power and are using it not for evil purposes.
But for completely inappropriate purposes.
I had a guy, he sent me a drink. I was like, hey, thank you very much, but I don't drink alcohol. He's like, well, what, are you pregnant? God, in retrospect, I should have just nut punched him, right? Instead, like, these tears just welled up in my eyes. I was just like, are you serious? You really think I'm young enough to have a baby?
Well, tell us about, well, speaking of inappropriate,
Let's do it. Woo!
Tell us about a little bit about your stand-up persona. Tell us about the tone. Tell us, you know, what's your angle? Who are you?
I just talk a lot about, they say, talk about what you know. And what I know is just really about relationships. That's really a lot about what I do, because that's my life. I don't talk a lot about recovery for all the obvious reasons, but I do talk a lot about my own. You know, and I like to talk about my substance use disorders on a public level. And I do that because I want to be a change agent. I want to change this from shame to empowerment, because there's a lot of people who think that alcoholics always live under a bridge, which isn't true. We take shifts.
Why are relationships such fertile ground for you know, funny stuff.
I don't know. I guess maybe that's kind of my superpower, really, is let's take this kind of painful topic and lodge it out there in a way that we can address it. Like codependency, for example, codependency. My mom was a codependent, and my best friend lived across the street, and she would watch me walk out of the front door, cross the front lawn, cross the street, walk in the front door. And then I had to call, once I was inside, and that's when I was 50. So it's codependency. So taking these things out and just kind of looking at them in a way and going, okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at this stuff.
It gets us talking about it, thinking about it.
Yeah. I feel like we are in a time, I feel like we're in a really good time for recovery, right? We talked about meeting people exactly where they are. That is not the way it used to be. You were supposed to look a certain way, act a certain way. And I love that I live in a time where we're encouraged to just be who we are, warts and all. Because I spent a lot of years trying to hide all that stuff and cover it up. It's a good time.
I can relate.
So the thing about recovery coaching is it meets you exactly where you are. And that could be coming straight out of a treatment center. It could be somebody that will not grace the doors of a treatment center. Perhaps they're in pre-contemplation. They're just not ready yet. We don't talk about harm reduction a lot, but that is pre-contemplation for a lot of people. So it's meeting you exactly where you are, and helping you get to where you want to be, and just kind of having a guide, create some goals for you so that you can move forward and get where you want to be.
Right on. So I like to live out loud, recover out loud, and I have deliberate intent in showing that recovery is not a trudge. It is life, and it can be a joyful life. And I like to have fun, and there are things I do for fun. What do you do to have fun in recovery?
What I do for fun, golly, my life is so amazing. Oh my gosh. So, well, I just celebrated a birthday, so my life sounds a lot more exciting this past week. But I just saw ZZ Top and the Rolling Stones.
Holy cow.
That was an amazing birthday week. I love comedy. I love music. I'm really healthy. I'm very focused on self-care. I think self-care is a really big part of recovery. If I don't take care of this machine, I'm not going to have energy and vitality to do the things that I want to do. And what I know is through good food and exercise that my brain functions in a different way, right? I just see life differently if I take care of myself. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I just started running. I'm sure my doctor would tell me that is insanity to start running. By running, I mean, brisk walking with some bursts involved. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna try and do a 5K. I don't have to run if I don't want to. So I think for fun, for me, it's funny that you said living out loud, because that is me. That's me. That's what I do. It's who I am, is living out loud.
Hey, give it up for me. I just celebrated 18 years clean and sober. After a DUI. Cop pulled me over. He said, "Have you been drinking?" I said, "Only to wash out the nasty taste of that cocaine." That got me a field sobriety test. I said A, B, C, puked all over the cop. I said, "Shit. D, U, I."
an important thing to remember. And then this business of self-care, you know, it's a term that's become kind of cliche after it's been appropriated by you know, the recovery space, but self-care is for everyone. It's take care of you, you know, and it doesn't have to be a chore. You know, it can be fun. Part of my self-care is honestly walking in the woods, laying down on the ground with my dog sometimes, watching Netflix and with my partner. And when I travel around the country, I like to visit recovery community centers and find the best pie shop in town and try a slice of it. So, I mean, that's emotional self-care, and there's the physical self-care, and I stay curious, and I take challenges, and I learn. So I take care of the mind, and so good on you. You're sending some great messages.
So the emotional self-care, that's a really great piece, because I know when I came into recovery and they used the word self-care, I thought, oh, bubble baths, right? Like I am just not a bubble bath girl. And I have learned emotional self-care can be not going to every fight that I'm invited to, right? Right? Like yes. That's self-care. Self-care can be surrounding myself by like-minded people, surrounding myself by people who support my highest and greatest good, right? It's not just bubble baths and crunches.
That sounds horrible,
right? Doesn't it? It really does.
Cool.
It is about really soul care. About soul care.
Soul care. Mm-hmm. We might just have us a new hashtag right there.
I know, right? I just made it up.
You know, hurry up and get that trademark so we can incorporate it into Roxanne McDonald's service array.
Yeah. Hashtag soul care.
Soul care. And well, that's awesome. Is there a message for this huge audience that you want to share?
So the catchphrase, say no.
Oh, no, Nancy. It's no thanks, but yes.
No thanks, but yes. So
folks would be like, what the hell does that mean?
No thanks to shame, right? Oh, no thanks to shame, but yes to lighting my soul. I think that's really my message. I am a trauma survivor. But you know what? I'm better.
Yes.
Recovery took a woman who was so filled with regret and remorse and shame, and took all of that and turned it into stuff like dignity and grace and a serving heart. And if you'd have asked me what I wanted when I got sober, I just would have said a driver's license. I would have said a driver's license and a job that I could get through without a really harsh security check. And the truth is, I got so much more. I'm so incredibly grateful, just grateful and blessed.
I love the message that you sent to folks, and I'm gonna make sure everybody hears it. So it's been a treat.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And let's do it again. Let's do it again real soon. Come down your way.
And continue to keep bringing the light.
Keep bringing the light.